If you could just introduce yourself, give a little background of what you're doing and what your company is doing.
Yes, I'm Roshan Robert. I am the U.S. CEO of OKX, and we launched here in the U.S. in April of this year, and we are continuing to scale here in the U.S. with both on the retail side and the institutional side.
Excellent. And what's your primary market focus?
We are focused both on retail and institutional, and we are right now focused on the centralized exchange, the spot exchange, right?
Gotcha.
But we also have a very robust Web3 wallet that is being launched as well, right? So we are in fact a very composite and comprehensive digital assets platform that cuts across both the CeFi space as well as the DeFi space.
So you're a competitor to Coinbase, in essence.
You can say that.
Yeah. Better than Coinbase.
Well, I think, if you look at, Coinbase, Crypto.com, OKX, these are all pioneers who are actually building in the space. We've all gone through a lot of hardships when in building in the space. And in fact, the way to look at it is these are all organizations that continue to keep a flag flying high as far as digital assets are concerned. And I think we're all together in this fight, right? And we're all together in this area where we want to make sure that this asset class becomes a prominent asset class, number one. And number two, I think we're all together in this idea that the United States should become a leader in the space, right? It's a new technology, a new asset class. And, I think we have the right kind of tailwinds blowing to take on a leadership position.
Yeah, we don't want crypto to be another color TV, made in America, and then
exactly.
Yeah,
we want it to be made in America and distributed it from America.
Right, exactly.
So that was an interesting conversation we had, Chris from Coinbase and Dan from Crypto.com, we're all building in the space, building in the United States, the core infrastructure for crypto, right? And it is still a nascent market in a sense. You do have around 50 million people with some sort of an access to crypto or some sort of an exposure to crypto. But then that's a market that is growing, right? That is growing. You have over 100 million customers in the U.S. who are curious about crypto but haven't really gotten into the market. So it is indeed going to start getting interesting from here on. The other topic of the conversation was more about institutions and what are the next big areas where institutions will need to sort of really look at to get into the space. And my point was that when institutions actually look at crypto and they've been eyeing this space for some time, but they've been tentative because of the lack of regulatory clarity. But with that regulatory clarity coming, and with the passage of the Genius Act and of course with the Clarity Act actually also passing through the House with a substantial majority, I think there's enough impetus for institutions to now take a long, hard look at crypto infrastructure and say, all right, over the next 3 to 4 years, how can we benefit from this change that is happening in the regulatory space? And I think I think that's an important decision that some of these larger institutions will need to make.
What do you see the future of tokenization of real-world assets?
Tokenization, and that is an area that is bound to grow considerably. I think right now, if you look at the market, we probably have around, I don't know the latest data, but I think if you, going back a couple of months, I think there was around 25 billion of tokenized assets on chain, right? That was the market cap. But that is supposed to become a multi-trillion-dollar market over the next few years. And that is an area that I think is of great interest to some of the larger institutional participants, because you want to get a piece of that alpha as that growth happens. That's it. And it's not just growth in that space. If you look at the entire crypto ecosystem, right, you have stable coins that is right now at around 300 odd billion in market cap, that is set to grow to 2 trillion in market cap by 2028. And this is not me saying it, is a report from the Treasury Department. You want to get a piece of that alpha, right? You look at DeFi, for example, right? Right now we have around $100 billion of market cap worth of assets actually being traded on DeFi platforms, right, across a variety of areas. If you look at the growth rate of DeFi, that is around 20% compounded annual growth rate that we're seeing in that space. So, of course, if you're a financial institution, you want to get a piece of that pie, right? The question is, how do you do it, right? And that is a question that needs to be answered by looking at three main areas, right? You have to look at how do you get comfortable with security? How do you get comfortable with compliance? And how do you get comfortable with the idea of getting into products that can actually scale?
Well,
Right.
I feel comfortable that the government is finally passing clarity and regulation.
Yes.
And it was such a muddy space for the past 10 years. And so I'm thankful for that. That's amazing. Do you guys have plans to have your own stablecoin?
No, no. In fact, what we are working on, I wouldn't like to get into strategic things, but we are focused on our innovations that'll help extend the reach of OKX around the globe, right? Both on the centralized exchange side as well as on the DeFi Web3 side.
Okay. How big is your customer base on the centralized exchange?
If you look at around the globe, we have over 70 million customers in 180 countries around the world. So it is the second largest exchange in the world. We operate across 4 continents.
So tell me a little bit about who you are and how did you rise to such an amazing position?
Oh, I've spent the better part of the last 20 years in financial markets, right? I've been in Big Four consulting, worked in global investment banks. I stepped down from that life sometime in 2018 to help a founder build out a startup, which became a prominent startup in crypto. I also spent some time with another startup, right, trying to, again, in the crypto space. And then, it was a natural move into OKX to build out the U.S.
Gotcha. And how about education? Where do you grow up? My audience wants to know the man and the success story. How does someone actually achieve so much success?
Well, I grew up in southern India, and I have done my master's here in the United States. I have a science background with a flavor of financial services. I did an MBA in finance here in the States. And then, of course, over the years, I've spent a lot of time in financial services.
Gotcha. Incredible. Congratulations to your success.
Thank you.